time to sing with the choir. You got me on a mission. Come on and find me. I'm looking for a vision. Come see what I see. I'm running with the rhythm. Come be my backbeat. Be my backbeat. Oh, you got me on a mission. Come on and find me. Come on and find me. Oh, I got that one-track mind. High school design, designed for perfection. Gonna raise the question when class is in session. You better listen up, cause you're sleeping on these lessons that I'm spilling from my cup. 3 rings on my fingers, but it's never enough. Stand up and deliver when the going gets rough. I gotta laugh when your credit is to love, but I'm still giving it back and you just ain't giving up. You got me on a mission. Come on and find me. I'm looking for a vision. Come see what I see.
Got me on a mission. Are we ready? Oh man, I'm so excited to be here with you today doing this live training. First and foremost, get ready. I'm going to dive in here. I'm going to bring up some slides and try to keep this as close to 30 minutes as humanly possible. I have never once hit that mark, but who's to say I can't do it this time, right? Anything is possible. Well, listen, let's dive in. I'm excited to share this free training with you. It is about reclaiming control of your calendar, going from chaos to calm in your business. How have things been? Let's start there. Put it in the chat, light up the chat. I want this to be an interactive presentation. I don't want you to just sit there, listen to me talk at you for 30 minutes. How is your calendar look? Are you in control of your calendar? Are you happy with the way it looks? Do you feel like things are out of control, or you are the firefighter in your business, not the CEO, not the owner, not the visionary leader that you're supposed to be, that you want to be? Listen, a lot of our clients come to us asking the same thing. Can you help me get more control on my business? And the answer is simple and complex all at the same time. The short answer is yes. The much longer answer that involves a lot of questions are, we're not going to dive into that today, but just understand we do have a process to get you from chaos to calm in a very, very short amount of time. We have the track record, the testimonials, and the history to do it, and we'll dive into that in just a second. But just understand, wherever you are right now, whatever you feel like your calendar looks like, whether it's chaotic, calm, maybe you're looking for some serenity in your business. More on that later too. We're going to dive in and we're going to figure out what is going on in your business. So let's bring this up here. Let's get right to it. The whole goal here is to go from chaos to calm this year. Let me bring up my little presentation notes here, my slide controls. Let's do it. So where are you? I already asked you a lot of these questions, but is this true? Does that resonate with you? Are you firefighting? Is your calendar controlling your life, or are you controlling your calendar? For most people, the calendar controls them. The calendar controls the day. I'll say this for me, I feel like this was me, maybe even months ago, about a year ago at this point, but still, the calendar dictated my day. Now, at this point, using the skills and the techniques I'm going to teach you in this quick little presentation today, I can 100% assure you I dictate my calendar and the way it looks. I show up to the things that I know will make a difference, and I'm not busy being busy. I'm busy being wildly productive. My time and my calendar of today is vastly different than it was just a year ago because of a few simple shifts that I'm going to share with you. But that's the whole point of this, is just to understand that wherever you are, we've all been there. Even if you think your calendar looks fantastic, are you being as productive as you want to be? Are you getting the results that you want in your business? It all comes down to the activities you're doing and how you interpret opportunity and challenges that come up in your business. So if any of this resonates with you, if any of those words or bullet points on the screen are questions that you've asked yourself, or things you're tired of, or things that resonate with you, I assure you, you will be getting some value, at least from this presentation. Hopefully it changes the way you look at your calendar entirely and your business. So let's start off. What's a what if? Why are we even here? If this is the first time you're hearing from me and the name What If, I want to first of all welcome you in. Um, this has been a quite the journey to become part of What If, be business partners with the guy on the screen there, Sean Delaney. So grateful for the opportunity that we have here in front of us and to serve you, of course. That's our whole goal here. But What If is a little bit different than a normal business consulting company. And so are the people who are involved in it. So first and foremost, Sean on the screen, um, What If is a business acceleration company. It's not consulting. We used to be fractional COOs to the Fortune 50. That's what Sean did in his past life. You can see his clients on the screen there. Impressive to say the least. Over a dozen Fortune 100 companies. If you could think of a company in the Fortune 100, the Fortune 50, he probably knows a lot more about it than you think. Let's just say that. But also a lot of small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and everything in between. He's seen it all. We've seen it all together. And we want to help you take what we've learned, bring that to your business so you can accelerate forward and you can get over the hurdles, the roadblocks, the learning curves, if you will, that normally happen when you start to grow a business. So, and Sean always likes to say, as entrepreneurs, we are always asking and answering what if. Now, on to me. Again, if this is your first time seeing me, hi, I'm Brandon. Nice to meet you. Welcome in again. I started my first company in 2018. I went from 6 to 7 figures in a matter of just a couple of months. That was a very quick acceleration in that company using a lot of the strategies that I'm going to teach you today and that we teach at What If. And I also went from working 80 hours a week down to 3 hours a week in just 6 months. That is what we're going to spend a lot of time on today. And I know that you are probably closer to the 80 than the 3. If that's you, I'm talking to you. I have a solution for you. We will fix it. I promise. I promise there's hope. There is a way to get there. So I stole that business for a higher multiple than is standard in that industry. And it's because of a lot of the things we teach at What If. I actually met Sean about 8 months prior to selling that business. And as soon as I heard about his harmonious business architecture that he had gathered from his years working at the Fortune 50 and those big companies, I knew I had to implement it and I had to see if it would work. It was kind of one of those things like, this guy might be full of crap, but I should try it and see what happens. And I got to tell you, he's not full of crap, and we're not full of crap here at What If. I implemented those strategies. I was able to, like it says on the screen, insanely reduce the number of hours working in the business. And that was 3 hours working on the business too. I was totally out of the day to day. I was strictly working on business, vision, strategy, all that stuff, very few hours a week. And then being able to exit that business because of the stuff that we teach here at What If using a harmonious business architecture. And now I get to help our clients through efficient and sustainable growth here at What If. I am so excited to do that. We have a lot of fun with our clients. So today, what are we going to do? We're going to understand the number one reason your business gets stuck and all businesses get stuck. We're going to evaluate how we got here as a society, as a culture, as businesses. Then we're going to introduce you to the new business model. I've already said it a couple times, harmonious. You will hear me say that term over and over today. That is our unique business architecture that you need to at least hear about a little bit. We're going to introduce you to that today. We're not going to go super deep. And then we're going to get to the action steps, the 4 Ds, time study, and proper time allocation to break down your vision. That's what you came here for, point 4, 5, and 6, but we really can't get there until we cover 1, 2, and 3. As you can tell, I am trying to speed through this presentation. I think we're doing good. I hope you're taking notes. You can always go back, rewatch this, pause, digest it however you need to, but let's keep going. So the number one mistake almost every single business that we have ever worked with has made, including the big ones, is a lack of clear vision for the future and a solid plan to get there. You may be a dreamer. Most entrepreneurs are. I think that's kind of our deal, right? We dream big. We want to solve the world's unsolvable problems. We want to fix everything. We want to make the world a better place. And those are beautiful, noble dreams. But even then, it's not a concrete vision. It's not a numeric or metric based vision that we can break down and take action steps on. And even if it is, We rarely have a solid plan to get there. Strategic planning is something that we think big companies do, and they make it overcomplicated. And it's just to please the stockholders and shareholders, right? Wrong. This right here is the number one mistake. And if we can fix that, and if we can introduce you to that today, I promise you we can start to chip away at the chaos in your business and ultimately achieve the calm or serenity, if you will, on the other side. So how did we get here? The standard business model is broken. So think about, I'm going to try to breeze through this as quickly as possible. If you want to hear Sean talk about this, I can send you a number of podcast episodes. Just drop it in the comments. Drop podcast, the word podcast in the comments. I'll DM you some episodes of Sean explaining this in further detail. But basically, if you go back to the beginning of commerce really at its core, if we establish that, is the exchange of value between two parties. Now, value doesn't have to mean money. It's just the exchange of value. If you get value and I get value and we exchange goods or services, we have commerce, right? So the beginning of business, when we were back in the 1800s and really the agricultural days, if you raised sheep as your trade and I was a farmer and I had grain, well, if I needed wool or if I needed lamb meat, we'll say, I would come to you and offer what I had of value. I would offer my grains or my services in exchange for the wool or the meat, and vice versa. And that was okay. We were tradesmen, right? And if we needed a little bit of help, we would either take our kids or our neighbors' kids, and we would exchange value with them. If it was our kids, we probably wouldn't pay them anything. But the neighbors' kids, maybe we would toss them a couple extra pounds of grain or whatever it was to say thank you or to offer value. As companies started to get bigger, we started to be introduced into the Industrial Revolution. That's where things changed. Instead of hiring our friends, our uncles, our cousins, our neighbors, and people we knew, we had to start hiring strangers. And we had to start bringing a lot of people into a small place to get the work done we needed. We were developing widgets in factories, and there were manufacturing lines, assembly lines. Think about the early days where Henry Ford kind of revolutionized the modern day assembly line, and he pumped out cars. Well, the people that worked at Ford in those days were not all of his family members and friends. They were strangers. So what has to happen? Well, you have to make departments and silos, and you have to separate things, and you have to put control in other people's hands. And what ended up happening was we have this structure of business that is still used today in the Fortune 500, and many companies model it, where you have multiple departments and divisions, and they're ultimately competing with each other. We look at the common competitions, if you will, inside of businesses. It's sales versus marketing, right? While realistically, they're all working towards the same goal, they're competing with each other. Marketing wants to have better numbers than sales. Sales wants to close more deals than marketing, and they're always fighting with each other about how we're communicating with our clients. This makes absolutely no sense, first and foremost, and it sets us up for failure in the long run. So when we model that big structure down at our small business level, what do we get? We get firefighting, we get chaos. We see on the screen, planning is seen as a useless activity. How could you plan for something 3, 6, 12 months out if you don't even know what the afternoon is going to bring you? You probably were a little bit apprehensive to sit down and watch this presentation because you're like, oh, I don't know if my phone's going to ring. If that seems a little bit true, if that resonates, I promise you're not alone, first and foremost. But this is what happened when business evolved. It got too big for one person to oversee it. So we had to put department heads and managers in place. And that's when the chaos started to ensue. Now, moving on, the old disciplines, if you will, in the standard business model that are still used today in the corporate culture are words like this you see on the screen. They're boring, they're confusing. We don't know what they mean as entrepreneurs, really, and we rarely ever do them. So I've already hinted at strategic planning, right? Thinking about what the future is going to look like, the plan to get there, and all of that corporate-y stuff, right? Project management. We don't need to do project management. Let's just do some stuff and see what happens. Hopefully make some changes along the way. Metrics and reporting. Oh, we know what metrics are, right? That's easy. And change management. Well, this is one that I've probably never seen small businesses do. Change management. Do you have a process to initiate and see through change in your business? If you said yes, you are probably lying to me because I've never seen it. But if it's true, please shoot me a DM because I want to go over it with you. And that sounds amazing. If you're one of those people, that sounds amazing. And then you look down, risk management. That sounds boring. Marketing and sales, leadership. These are all the stuff that typical businesses don't do on the small business level because they sound like big corporate terms and we don't want to do them. We're entrepreneurs. We don't follow the standard rule book. So what we did at What If is we renamed them. We renamed strategic planning Navigate, because what's the essence of all of these terms? It's not to strategically plan. It's to have a compass for your business. It's the map. Where are you going in your business? It's your navigation system. Project management is how you operate. Time management. Can you manage time? I can't. God can manage time, but we can't. We can just manage how we show up. So what are we trying to achieve when we say time management? Well, serenity. I've said that a few times already. And that's really what today is all about, is finding that serenity, making your calendar look like what you want it to look like so you can be at peace with the way your business and your calendar operates, and all the way down the list. And what does this look like when you put it in a nice, beautiful order? Harmonious. We are looking to build harmonious companies. If you have something that is in harmony, think about it. It sounds beautiful, right? When music is in harmony, when different instruments or voices are harmonious, they sound beautiful. What's the opposite of harmonious? What's the type of business most of us are operating at this point? Dissonance. When you have something that is in dissonance, it's in disarray. It just is crazy. It's chaotic. It sounds awful. Nobody wants to listen to it. What we ultimately want to achieve is a harmonious business that operates and runs sustainably. Now, this is the magic here between these 10 letters, these 10 disciplines. When you put them together in this web, the leverage is hidden in the links. That is the magic of what we teach at What If. It's not so much that we've identified what they are. No, they were there. These 10 disciplines have always existed. They must exist. It's not really our discovery. What we're saying and what we're arguing is that A, they need to be focused on, and B, the links between them need to be leveraged. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today with your navigation or strategy and your freedom. So freedom or serenity is the ability to have that calendar that you like looking at, the calendar that you control, not the calendar that controls you. The one where you can say, I want to go on vacation for 3 weeks and I don't really have to worry about my business when I leave. I don't have to check my emails or take phone calls or worry about my employees. That is serenity. And it starts with your navigation, your strategy. So we're going to go over both of those a little bit, but just understand these are 2 of 10 disciplines in this architecture. They are very important, but they are only 20% of the work. But if we leverage the 80-20 rule, this is how you get the biggest reward with doing the littlest amount of work. I know that is not grammatically correct, but I'm not grammatically correct. So we're going to have to deal with it and move on. So let's go. Let's start diving in. So the 4 Ds, this is a framework I want to share with you so you can kind of picture how to look at the way things come into your business or potentially get onto your calendar. This is a framework of filtering through opportunities and challenges when they come up. So the typical way this looks like is in the 4 Ds. It's 4 words: do, delay, delegate, and delete. Now think about it as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, a leader. When problems, challenges, opportunities, whatever it is, when they come to you, what is the first thing you ask yourself? It's typically, can I or should I do this? Well, when you ask yourself that question, you're trying to figure out in your own head if you personally can do it, can do the work. If you say, I can do this, then we go to the next step, which is delay it. Maybe you're too busy right now. Your calendar's already chaotic. You don't have the time. You know you want to do it. You're like, this is my jam. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. I just can't do it today. So maybe we'll do it tomorrow or next week. And you'll put it on the calendar. If you know it's got to get done and you personally can't do it, but it's like super urgent, very, very important, you got to have it done, then we look to delegate it. And then after all of that, those 3 steps, then we're like, let's just delete it. It wasn't that good anyway. It wasn't that great of an opportunity. And it gets deleted. What if I told you that the magic, the real opportunity here, and the quickest way to get back control of your calendar is to just flip this sequence? Just flip it completely upside down. So instead of do, delay, delegate, delete, we're going to seek to delete first, then delegate, then delay, and then do. So what does this order look like? Well, when you get an opportunity or a challenge that comes in your business, if you look to first delete, that means it doesn't get to anybody in your business. Doesn't get to you, doesn't get to your team, doesn't get to a VA, doesn't get to a third-party company. It's just not going to happen. And I know that's going to scare some of you when you hear that, because you're like, but everything's an opportunity. We have shiny object syndrome as entrepreneurs, right? Yeah, that's the scary part. But I promise you, this quick little shift in your perception will change everything for you. But how do you know which ones to say yes to and which ones to say no to? Maybe we're going to dive into that in a few minutes. But just understand, when you understand that line of thinking of what am I doing, what am I working on, and what is an absolute no, you have all of the power in your hands, and you now have complete control over your calendar and your business's destiny. I promise. So from delete, if we cannot delete it, then we look to delegate it or delay it. And these are both kind of interchangeable. If it has to happen, the next two things we're going to look at are delegate and delay. Let's say, okay, we don't need to do this now. We can delay it to quarter 2, quarter 3, end of the year, next year, whatever. It's a good opportunity, or it's a problem that needs to be solved, but it's not a today problem. Let's delay it. Or if it has to happen now, then we'll delegate it. We can get it to someone on our team. We can get it to a VA, a third-party company, whatever it may be. If it has to happen, it still needs to be looked at either later, at a later date, or on someone else's desk. Then and only then, if you filter through those three, do you, the leader, have the opportunity to say yes and actually do it. If it is something that you and only you can uniquely do, we call that the golden line. Everything above this golden line are the things that you can uniquely do as the business owner. Now, I am not one of those people who are going to sit here and say, delegate everything or you're going to be broke. No, I understand that you need to put things in place in order to maybe hire a team. You don't have the team or the staff to support you. Maybe you don't even have a VA. That's okay. Just understand that using this filter will at least let you see what you're doing that you shouldn't be doing, so that you can plan for the future and accelerate that timeline of when you can get a VA, when you can hire a part-time person, or even outsource to a third-party company. Let's use Facebook ads as an example. That is probably not something you as the business owner or leader should be doing. You don't have a staff, you don't have a VA. Well, maybe you could just hire a third-party company. You could hire some marketing company who specializes in Facebook ads. As long as you have, the what of the ad figured out, you have your marketing figured out, you can definitely outsource that to somebody else, to another company, and they can help you. Maybe you don't have the funds for that. Well, then we need to look at what else is going on in your business. Why are you not making enough money to outsource this task? And maybe is it a question of saying, well, if I outsource it, I'll have more time to make money. I understand there's a lot of things that go into this. I'm just giving you a filter of how to look at things differently in your business, opposite from how you're currently looking at it. And that will give you a lot of leverage to move forward. So understanding, if we first seek to delete, delegate, delay, and we can't do any of those things and it still has to get done, then and only then can you do it as the business owner. But those better be activities that massively leverage the 80-20 rule. It better be like the smallest amount of input for the biggest amount of leverage on the back end. If it's not, it's still the wrong activities. And we would beat you down on that until we ultimately figured out what are those activities. When I went from 80 hours a week down to 3, I was able to identify, okay, what are the few activities that I can do, that I have to do uniquely myself, so that I can eliminate 77 hours worth of work. And when you look at things that way, it begins to shift your perception of your calendar. And that is why it really didn't take a lot of effort to go from 80 hours a week to 3, but it did take focus and it took a plan. So there are pieces at play here. There are dynamics at play that we have to have control over. And that's what we're teaching here. But it is possible, but it's also in combination with other things. Remember what I said back to the architecture, leveraging the links between the disciplines. It is not one thing. There's not a one sole focus on serenity that's going to get you this. It's a focus on everything as a whole, but understanding how things interact together so that we can really take back our time and reclaim our serenity, achieve serenity. So this is a quick little example of a time study. This is a snapshot of my calendar from April of last year, and you can see what it looks like. Doesn't look like I'm so busy, right? Well, this was one of the times where I was working almost 80 hours a week, and it was all chaos. Everything was chaos. And I said to myself, my calendar is completely empty. Why in the world is this chaos? Like, how is this chaos even happening? I couldn't wrap my head around it. And then I had the epiphany a few months later. Oh, it's because my calendar is empty. If you're not proactively scheduling things on your calendar, well, time still exists, right? So things are going to fill your calendar. If I looked at my calendar on Tuesday, the 25th, and I said, today I'm going to get a lot of stuff done, whatever that may be. And someone called me at 9:30 a.m. and said, I have an urgent problem. We need to fix it now. Well, technically, there's nothing on my calendar that says that can't be an urgent problem. There was nothing here besides this 11 o'clock to 11:30 meeting that said I have to sit down and handle this problem because I have nothing else that I have to do today. And that is a dangerous way for your calendar to look. I'm also not saying it needs to be fully booked with the wrong activities, but you should be proactively scheduling your calendar and blocking time so that you're in control of the things that get done. Here is the complete inverse of this calendar. And this was from December of last year. So this is where I actually sat down and did a time study for this week. So you can see a number of things here. I won't go super deep into this, but ultimately what I did was the dark green times are pre-scheduled as my personal times. So that's kind of like the time blocks, the beginning and end of my day. Now, this was a unique week. I was attending a virtual event, Tony Robbins event. If you've ever been, you know the weird hours that those go. You can see the light green blocks here going until and past midnight, of course. So a little bit different than one of my normal weeks. Typically, the dark green is a solid bookend across the top, starting at 5 a.m. and ending around 9:30, 10 o'clock p.m. Everything in between starts out white, and I proactively schedule it. Now, for us at What If, we had a huge focus at this time on our ubiquity, which was our sales and marketing. And so what I've done is on my calendar, I colored those activities in purple and light blue, or the light purple here. So you can see, I can look at a glance and say, wow, this week was wildly productive. There is a lot of purple on there, and there's a lot of light purple. So I know just from looking at this, I think this will be pulled up in the next, let me see here. Actually, I'll go back one. So this was a reverse looking, a backwards looking time study. So I recorded everything that was happening. But even then, I can see, okay, I did a lot of good things. I was proactive, or I was efficient in scheduling my time and making use of the time I had available. A lot of this was scheduled in advance, but there was white space on this calendar at the time that I was using it because I wasn't 100% dialed in on the activities I was doing. Now you look at a couple weeks later, and this was an example of a calendar that was proactively scheduled. So you can see this is a more normal week, but this was me going, okay, at the end of the week prior, scheduling as much as humanly possible on this calendar. So again, I see a lot of purple. I see a lot of the light green. That for me is learning time, personal development, business development, stuff like that. So that the red is client meetings or metrics reviews. This is a very productive calendar. I know by looking at this that I got a lot done. and I am chasing the vision, or AKA the strategic plan, if you will, that we have established for this quarter. This was the end of the year. It was December, so we're coming up on the end of the year. This was really, really good. I am happy with this. And this scenario was not reactive. I did not go back and record what actually happened. This was all proactively scheduled. And none of this came up on my calendar during that week. I can't even tell you the calm that I feel going into the week, looking at a calendar like this versus if I go back a couple of slides here, looking at a calendar like this now terrifies me, because I know I can just be pulled in any different direction. I can let ADHD run wild. Shiny object syndrome can completely take over control of my life. And this will not happen. And I will not get any closer to my objectives. And I will not be productive. This is a little side by side of the time insights. So on the left is the empty calendar from April, and on the right is the full pre-scheduled calendar from December. And you can see where I put most of my time. Again, the key down here is the remaining time. This is basically saying I had 37.5 unscheduled hours in a week, in a 40-hour work week in April. And in December, I had 4 hours of unscheduled time. Unscheduled time is not bad. It's not bad to have a little. It's not bad, I guess, even to have a lot. I'm arguing that you should have everything scheduled. Open time is not bad. Unscheduled time, very bad. Open time, not bad. If you have scheduled open time, where if you know you're working on a certain project or it's just chill time for you, fantastic, as long as you stick to it. It's the unscheduled 37 and a half hours that'll really get you. So that's a different way to look at your calendar. And I would argue, do a time study. Don't go crazy. Don't record every 15 minutes or every 30 seconds like some people tell you to, but go back and do what I did here. As soon as you finish working on something, put it on the calendar and put it as something that you actually did. And then at the end of the week, review your time study. This is on Google Calendar. So if you use Google, I know Outlook has metrics like that too, reporting tools. I'm sure Apple Calendar says it too. Whatever calendar you use should have some metrics to report and record your time. But see what it looks like. Is it kind of chaotic? Are you bouncing from activity to activity? Are you not feeling like you're getting anything done? When you can get your calendar to look like this, you know you're going from activity to activity with purpose, and it's actually moving the needle in your business. And then we can make sure that they are the correct activities, which is where a lot of people then miss on step 2. Even though you're doing things in scheduled times, they still may not be the right activities. And we can dial that in after we first do that little time study. So what do you actually do? That's the question on the table at this point, making sure we're doing the right activities, the effective work, the productive work, leveraging the 80-20 rule. It comes from strategy, not from the tactics. I'm not doing a time study is a tactic to understand your time, but then looking on the opposite side of the time study, where do we go with it? What do we do? The strategy will dictate what you do, not so much any tactic on being productive. If you see people on the internet saying, do these 3 things to be productive every single day, they're probably tactics and they're not going to get you very far. They're going to get you burnt out. And we don't want to do that. So what you do it and how you do it, or what you do, and how you do it are up to you. And they come from your 5-year company vision. So I'll give you an example of this. On our What If Home dashboard, we use Notion to house our company dashboard. We have these 3. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse. You can't. I'm highlighting under Skunkworks, the 3 labs that are down there. There's actually 4 labs. 3 of those are our quarterly objectives. So we know we're working on building out Harmonious, building out our Inner Circle, our business accelerator, and our ubiquity is still a focus for us at this point, or whenever the screenshot was taken. Ubiquity was a focus, so we can see, okay, we're working on how loud can we get. We use fun names so we know what's going on. So you may not see a whole lot of things that make sense on this page, but just understand that when I look at this, I see 3 projects, 3 quarterly objectives, and they came from our vision, our 5-year company vision. That's what we have here. It's actually a 6-year vision when we made it in 2023, but that's because Sean doesn't like odd numbers. He hated that it was a 5-year vision was going to be on 2029. So we made it 2030. But anyway, so we see what our 6-year vision is, what our 2030 vision is. So we can break that down and say, okay, in year 1, we need to have between 500 and 1,000 members in our ecosystem. And the quarterly outcome, the first quarter outcome is 50 people in the WIC. So in our ecosystem. So then we have our projects down here, our outcomes. We have our 3 potential projects down here in this loop, and we always know what we're working on. Then within the projects, we break them down each further, so they can look like this, and we always have a direction. Now, if we go back a few slides, if you remember the 4Ds, and I said, how do you know what to say yes to and what to say no to in the delete section? There you go. That is how you do it. So we know anytime something comes at us, if it's an opportunity, if it's an issue, we were able to say, okay, does it fall in one of our 3 projects? Will it affect the outcome of one of our 3 projects? If it was a no, it's delete. If is it going to help us move the needle towards our 5-year vision and it's not in this quarter, then it's delay. Everything else, then we can either delegate or do ourselves. But we knew immediately, just because we had those 3 very clear objectives, what to say yes to, what to say no to, and when it could happen. If it was not one of those 3 objectives, it will not happen in that quarter. We are that rigid, but that's where all of the power comes from. So don't discount the 4Ds, but just understand the 4Ds are not as powerful as they could be unless you have an objective that you're working towards, a vision that you're working towards, and you have that broken down into the quarterly sprints that we teach. So where do we get lost? Again, it's the strategy versus tactics. A lot of what we go through at What If, more than 80% of what we go through is the strategy. Once we are very clear on the strategy, then and only then can we talk about tactics. So an example of this, what I'm talking about here, is the difference between debating whether cold calls are the best method or Facebook ads to get leads. That's a tactic. What's the strategy? What's that based off of? We have to boil everything down to what the essence is, just like the architecture, to figure out what activities or tactics will get us closer to our strategy and end goal. So many people look at this the wrong way and they start arguing about the things that they're doing in the activities rather than saying, okay, this is the overall strategy or structure of a company that I'm chasing. How do we get there? They go, how do we get there without any destination? And obviously that will lead you into disaster. So you saw words on the screen there, OKRs, KPIs, ABCs, oh my, and obviously shiny object syndrome is incredibly present. Don't worry about any of it. That's where we all get lost. We think, oh, these are the 3 KPIs that I have to measure. Why? What's the strategy? What's the goal? Where are we going? And ultimately, it comes down to your navigation. Navigate. Without a clear navigation, you will be lost. I'm pretty sure it was Alice in Wonderland. Someone shared this quote with me. I've never seen the movie. I know, shocker, right? But if it's not, please correct me in the comments. Alice in Wonderland, where she went up to the rabbit or whatever it was, and he said, "Where are you going?" to Alice. And she said, "I don't know. Can you help me get there?" And he says, "Well, if you don't know where you're going, then anywhere will get you there." And that is true in our business too. If we don't have a destination in mind, if we don't have the navigation system or the compass to tell us where to go, how to get there, or at least a direction of where to go, then anywhere will get you there. You'll say yes to the wrong things. You'll say no to the things you should have said yes to. You'll get distracted, be busy, and you'll have chaos on your calendar all the time. And that's maybe where you are right now. So let's figure out how to fix it. For us at What If, navigation is very simply at its core 3 things that are more important than anything else that we can talk about in strategic planning. We talk about all of them, but these are the 3 we have to start with. It is your core values, your mission, and your vision. You've already heard me talk about the vision and how we break that down into manageable chunks and quarterly sprints. So we have our objectives that we are chasing, the projects we're working on and what they're tied to, and of course the metrics that we can monitor so that we know they are the right activities that we're doing in our business. And that's where our KPIs come from. It's not just saying what's standard in the industry, it's all custom to our business, and it should be for yours too. And we can help you create that if you need any help. So your core values are your 3 to 5 core values that are consistent with your culture. Mission is your action oriented and solution focused, basically why and how you show up. And the vision is the 5-year vision. We use metrics and make it scary. It should force your company and your people to grow in the next 5 years. It shouldn't be something that you could see a path to. It should be kind of big and scary in the future so that you know you have to become a different version of yourself and your business along the way. Now, I share all that because it's very, very important to start there. Again, you can use the tactics I shared, but I've already kind of poo-pooed on those and said that won't get you very far. But you can use the 4Ds and the golden line and the time study, and you can attempt to break down your vision or figure out what your quarterly projects are, your next 12-week sprint. You can do those things. I'm not going to stop you from doing those. But if you don't have the navigation in place and you don't have a rock solid foundation, you see on the screen, rework the foundation. That's what I would argue is your first step. Rework the foundation. Take a look at your mission, vision, core values. Are they accurate? Have they ever been looked at? Did you start your business with those? Most people don't. Most Fortune 500 companies don't have rock solid mission, vision, core values that they can build off of to determine these quarterly sprints. You need to integrate this stuff into the other 9 disciplines. And I would invite you to join us through this process. I'll share in just a second a little bit more about that. But before I do, Sean, you may have, whether you've seen us speak before or not on our podcast, on our lives that we do on all platforms, he has said before, and I wholeheartedly agree with this statement, that in terms of the 10 disciplines, if you get navigation, which is what we're talking about here, if you get navigation right, it is very hard to get the other 9 disciplines wrong. If you get navigation wrong, it's very hard to get the other 9 disciplines right. Think about that. Why do so many businesses go out of business? Small businesses fail at astonishingly high rates, 50% in 1 year, 80% in 5 years, 94% in 10 years. Most businesses do not survive. Your business most likely will not survive more than the next 1, 3, or 5 years. Are you okay with that? Do you want that for your business? I don't think you started your business just to have it fail. None of us do. We can help you. All you need is a solid foundation of navigation. And we want to help you do this. If you go to whatif.com/chaos, we're putting on a free workshop about this topic specifically. We will rework and build your foundation so that you can incorporate it through the rest of your company. Remember what I just said? If you get navigation right, it's very hard to get the rest wrong. If you do this work, if you spend 3 days with us, 60 to 90 minutes per session, we're trying to keep this as quick and concise as possible. Unlike this presentation that I've gone over 30 minutes as usual, what we're going to do is help you make sure you don't get the rest wrong. I don't want to see your business fail just because you missed one simple step. Now, what do you get? I messed up the slides here. We used to do this as a 5-day interactive event. It's still an interactive event, but we've shortened it down to 3 days. There we go. Because the biggest complaint was people didn't have enough time. Ironically, that's what we're here to solve. And they didn't have enough time to dedicate to the 5 days. So we made it 3 days, 1.5 hours a day, 60 to 90 minutes a day. We're going to develop your core, the mission, vision, core values. Make sure it's totally immersed in the rest of your company. Show you how to do that and get you past the plateau in your business so that you can ultimately reclaim your calendar and calm the chaos in your business. This is where it starts with all of our clients. We do this first, and then they take a breath and they say, I get it. I can see where I'm going now. And then we can develop your action plan to grow your business on the 3rd and final day. That's what we'll leave you with once you get the other stuff right. So what is all this worth? What would we charge you for all of this? The 3-day event, $497 value. Develop a core using our proven framework, $997 value. That's based on a course we used to sell in our company. It was called the BOMB course. It was 10 modules, and this module that we're teaching you is, you could easily say it was worth $1,000 because the course was sold for $10,000. You get past the plateau in your business. Is there a value on that? Really? Like, I don't know. Can you assign a value to that? I just picked $5,000. I don't know. Develop an action plan to grow your business. Again, there's probably way more value in that than I put on the screen, but the total value here is almost $7,000. The price for you to sign up for this workshop is free. We hate seeing businesses fail for no reason. Your business should not fail because this is so simple. We put on these workshops so that there's no excuse for any business to fail. If you get this right, it's very hard to get the rest wrong. If you get this wrong, it's nearly impossible to get the rest of running a business right. I promise you, we have seen it over and over and over. Sean has seen it inside of the Fortune 50. We both have seen it with solopreneurs, entrepreneurs with small teams, entrepreneurs with big teams, and in my own business. This is most of the reason I was able to transition from working 80 plus hours down to almost 0 hours a week, at least under 5, because I got this part right. And that is so important. When I couldn't communicate with my team, I developed the mission, vision, core values. I gave them direction. I gave them marching orders. I filtered people who was even on our team by core values. There's so much power in this discipline, in the architecture, that you don't even know if you haven't spent the time to do it. The chaos that you are experiencing on your calendar is coming solely because this discipline is not optimized. If it was, you wouldn't have chaos on your calendar. I know it. I know it for a fact. So what I want you to do is I would love for you to register, go to whatif.com/chaos and take the next step. We host these workshops every now and then, whenever the next one is. Well, there's one coming up tomorrow if you're watching this, but if you can't make that one, you can see when the next one's going to come up. I want to see you there. I want to make sure that you get the most out of this year, this quarter, and you can take your business beyond where it is now to the business of your dreams that you started it to chase anyway. Let's solve the problems that you set out to solve. Let's make the impact that you want to have in the world. Let's leave your mark and make sure you don't have to pull your hair out along the way. We are going to calm the chaos in your business. Give me an hour and a half a day for 3 days, and we will fix 90% of your business's problems. And look, it's free. Join us there. There is a VIP upgrade, which is also priced ridiculously low. As soon as you register, you'll get invited to that. You'll be able to come behind the scenes, live Q&A with myself and Sean. We'll be there live with you on Zoom, and we can dive into the specifics of your business. But even if you don't do that, we promise to deliver the maximum amount of value, at the very least $6,700 of value at $0 cost to you for spending some time with us. And long-term, we're going to give you the roadmap to grow your business. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Why are you still here? Go to whatif.com/chaos. The seats will fill up. The doors will close soon, and then you'll have to wait until the next one. Don't wait. Do this now. You will not regret it. And we'll see you